Today I'd like to talk about the topic of claiming space. So in A Witch's Primer, we give you an exercise called the Orb of Light. And we also give you another exercise later called Casting a Magic Circle. Those are both things that we use a lot in the craft. You might be familiar with the ritual of the pentagram, the lesser ritual of the pentagram. There's a lot of different types of rituals like that where you are actually claiming space. And when you claim space, what you're doing is you're actually calling to yourself a space that is protected and safe and sacred for you. But let's take this concept a little bit further than just something that we do to prepare magical space for ourselves. When you are created as an eternal being, okay? It's easy to think I was created once in time, but you were not created once in time. You were created in the moment. You were created perpetually. Infinite intelligence is always creating you. And as a result of that, you have infinite rights. You have infinite privileges. Whatever term that you like to use for a higher power, infinite spirit's a good one, or maybe it's the goddess, or maybe you like to say God, or maybe you have a specific deity name that you use that you're dedicated to. All of that is good. Just it doesn't matter what it is, but you were given everything. It's not like God said, "Well, I'm going to start you out with this much, and then we'll see how you do." No, when you're created, you're given everything. Everything is yours. Now, it's up to you to release that everything into your experience in order to realize it, in order to realize that you have everything that you need at any time. At any time, wherever you are, whenever you're there, you have access to literally everything. Now, we won't understand that we have access to everything unless we claim it. And in order to claim it, we have to claim our space. We have to claim our own space. You were given an expansion of the universe, an expansive part of the universe that is all for you, and you must claim that. Part of what happens in life is we go through life and we think, well, I'd love to do this or I'd love to have that, but it's just, I just don't see how it's possible for me to have that kind of a career maybe, or to have that kind of prosperity, or maybe to have a kind of relationship like that, or home like that, or maybe clothes like that. Things that would be nice, but I don't see how it's possible for me. Well, that's because we haven't been shown and told that we're allowed to claim space. We're allowed to claim the space for whatever it is that we desire. So if you're in a room and you don't feel like you belong there, or you don't feel like you're important enough, it's because you haven't yet told yourself, I have everything. I have access to everything. And I'm allowed to be here now, and I'm claiming my space. I'm claiming my space. This is my divine space. I was granted with this at my creation, and I'm going to claim it over and over and over again. So if you're in a situation, let's say you're a performer. Let's say you're on stage and you're afraid. It's normal to be afraid, to have some stage fright. Everybody has that. And in fact, if you don't have a little bit of stage fright, you might not have enough adrenaline to get the performance going. So a little bit of that's okay. But if you really don't feel like you're allowed to be there, that this is not for you, it's because you haven't claimed your space on that stage. You haven't claimed your space. This is my space. This is my space. This is my space of success. This is my space of artistic achievement. This is my space where I get to perform and be successful. If you're in a job and you just don't feel welcome there, well, you get to claim your space there. They don't necessarily have to ever welcome you, but you can feel welcome because it's not their space. It's your space, and you're very welcome in your space. So you can just tell yourself, I claim my space. I claim my space at this place. I know that I belong here. I have my own right to be right where I am because this is mine. I was granted this space. I claim it. This is my part of the universe. I claim it. Right? So if you're maybe having an experience where it seems like you just can't make ends meet. It's just like I can't seem to get enough money together to pay the bills and have enough money left over to put something away, maybe give to charity, maybe invest some. I just never seem to have enough for that. I always seem to just be running out. There's just not enough money. Well, maybe it's time to claim your financial space. I claim my space. I was granted space when I was created. Infinite space. I was given everything. I claim my space. I claim my financial space. I claim my space, and I allow that space to be filled with wealth, to be filled with prosperity. Not just enough to get by, but abundance. I claim this space. This is my space. I get to have this space. This is my right. You don't get this space. I do. This isn't your space. This is my space. And I can have this space be however I want it to be. And I'm claiming my space for prosperity and abundance and wealth. Maybe you have an issue where you're lonely and you just don't think that you can ever date anybody. Maybe you're not good enough in your mind to have a relationship, and any relationship that you've ever had has never worked out so well for you. And you think that that's just your lot in life. Well, maybe what we need there is not for you to think that that's your lot in life, but that it's time for you to claim your space. I claim my space. This is my space. My space includes companionship. That's my right. I claim my space. And I know that this space is how I decide it's going to be. And I claim my space, and I fill it with companionship. I fill it with my perfect mate. I know that mate is mine. I know that that's available for me. I have every right to that because I was granted that at my creation. And I claim it now. This is my space, not your space, not my mom's space, not my sister's space, not my dad's space, not anybody else's space that gets to tell me who I am or what I am. No, that's not your space. This is my space. You don't belong here. This is me. This is my space. And my space includes what I decide it includes in it. And right now it includes companionship and peace. Maybe you are in one of those lifetimes where you feel like you just don't know how to have serenity and peace of mind, where you can just relax and be yourself and feel at one with the universe. Maybe you just don't feel like that's in the cards for you. Or maybe you could claim your space and say, wait a minute, this is my space. I claim my space. And I can put whatever I want in my space. And I claim my space for peace and serenity. I claim this space, and it's my space. I get to have peace and serenity. Why? Because it's my space, and I said so. It's not your space. You don't get to determine for me what I get to have in my space. None of you do. This is my space, and I claim it for my highest good and for my peace and for my serenity. Maybe you have trouble with your body. Maybe you don't think that you look good enough. Maybe you think you're too fat. That's common, isn't it? I'm too fat. I'm carrying too much weight. Nobody will ever love me because I'm too fat. I'm too fat, right? Well, maybe you could claim your space. Maybe you could say, hey, wait a minute. This is my space. I get to determine what's too fat here. I get to determine what's my perfect weight in this space, right? And if I desire to lose weight, I get to claim that weight loss in this space. If I don't want to lose weight, I get to claim that it's fine the way I am in this space because it's not your space. It's my space. And you don't get to tell me what is the right weight in my space. Only I get to determine what's the right weight in my space. This is my space, not yours. And you just do that again and again and again. Now, maybe you want to be real ritualistic about that when you have a little time. Maybe you call upon those 4 directions like we teach you how to do. Maybe you draw a circle around you. Maybe you call forth the god and the goddess. Maybe you call forth those angelic presences. You can do that. That's absolutely fine. But you don't have to. You can claim your space however you want to, because it's what? Your space. You get to determine what goes in your space. Nobody but you. Why? Because it's yours. You were granted that. Your space was not granted to anybody but you. And you can claim that. And no one can do anything about it. Ever. And you do that again and again and again. And you start watching how things change in your world. People aren't going to be so much of a problem for you anymore, because what are you going to do about it? You're going to claim your space. Right? You're going to start seeing things change because you've decided it's so, because it's your space. You're not living in other people's space anymore. You're not taking up space anymore. You're claiming space. You're not in other people's lives anymore. They're in yours. Right? They can claim their space if they want to. It's none of my business. It's none of your business what they do with their space. This is all about you and your space. You don't like somebody, they don't get to be in your space. You don't want to think about somebody, you don't have to think about them in your space. It's yours. You don't want certain things in your space, it doesn't belong there then. It's yours. And if you're in a situation where things aren't the way you want them to be, the least you can do is claim your space. Right? It's not that hard to just say, wait a minute, I don't want this. This is my space, not your space. This is my space. I don't want this in my space. I'm not going to have this in my space. I get to claim my space. You want this in your space? You go have this in your space. This is my space. Take your problems into your own space. They don't belong here. You do that enough, and nobody can touch you. Nothing will move you. You're no longer worried or upset or afraid or poor or broke or miserable or sick or depressed or any of those things, lonely. Why? Because you don't want it in your space. That's not what you want. And you get to have what you want in your space because it's for you. And it was given to you. It was granted to you by the same power that created the entire universe. You don't want other people's space. You're not trying to take space away from other people. They've got their space. They've got the same amount of infinite space as you do. What they do with their space, none of my business. None of your business what they do with their space. Like, so you're not asking for anything that's not yours, but what's yours is infinite. What's yours has no limit. You were not given a limited existence at your creation. We created those limitations ourselves when we decided to look at the world the way we look at the world. We decided to look at the world from a limited perspective. That's why we have this kind of a world here. And the more we remind ourselves, wait a minute. Just because my senses think it's a certain way doesn't mean it's necessarily so. I'm going to remind myself that I was granted infinite space, and I'm going to claim it. I'm going to claim it the way I want it. I'm going to claim it the way I want to have it. I'm going to claim it the way it's my right to have it. It's my birthright to claim my space. Now, you're never going to want to claim your space, right, for something negative. You're not going to say, I claim this space so that so-and-so will get hurt. That doesn't make sense, right? So it's got a built-in protection in it, right? You're never going to claim for yourself somebody else's destruction. Why would you do that? because then all you're doing is pulling in destruction into your space. You're only bringing things into your space that you decide are there. That you decide are there. What do you want? Well, claim it. Claim your space. You probably have been living your life thinking that you're taking up space, that you don't want to make waves, that you don't have a place in this world. Maybe if you're nice, somebody will give you some place in this world. Maybe if you play by the rules, then somebody will be nice enough to throw you some space, right? Well, that's backwards, isn't it? Nobody is ever going to come and grant you your space. Why? Because it's not their job. It was already given you. Whether you claim it or not is up to you, but it was given to you, just like it was given to everybody else. So claim your space. Start it today and do it in every situation where you find yourself in any lack of ease. Say, wait a minute. I'm trying to live in somebody else's space. I'm trying to live in a space that's not mine. I'm claiming my space, and I'm going to claim my space and fill it with that which is my birthright. And you keep doing that, and you're going to notice that you lose those senses of lack of ease. You're going to start losing that sense of not belonging, or not having power, or not being able to exist in the world with any sense of success. It's your birthright. It's not complicated. You don't need any special rituals. Unless you want them, you're more than welcome to them, because it's what? Your space. All right. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I cannot wait to work with you again. And until that time, blessed be.